You're joking. You're absolutely joking. No, can't be true. Absolutely cannot be true. Fellaini's won Player of the Year award. It's a joke. An absolute joke. Hello and welcome to the United Stand. Let's fly into it. This will be a Skype Goldbridge show, but just to give you a little bit of an update, because it is the Manchester United #MUFC POTY, Manchester United Football Club Player of the Year Awards. Mkhitaryan has just won goal of the season for the backflip that everyone will say was offside, but it's counted. So goal of the season, there we go. Is there any other awards? Angel Gomez has run the Manchester United Youth Team Player of the Year, which is fantastic. He's been brilliant this year. And Rooney said it'd be nice to win the final. He doesn't want us to slip up. Your last thing you want is a Scouser saying something like that. But we haven't got Player of the Year award yet. We'll announce that to you. Okay, let me fly into it. Fellaini out. Then this is quite big. It will be Skype Goldbridge. You can talk to me about anything you want to when I open up Skype. Not at the moment. I'll do it in a couple of minutes. So anything you want to talk about, United, what your concerns are, anything like that. I just normally start off with a topic, and the topic tonight I want to talk about is Fellaini out. Now, I think Fellaini will play in the final. He went off against Southampton with a slight niggle. Mourinho looked like he'd lost a family member. He looked absolutely dejected by it, but apparently he's hoping that it'll be all right for the final. Somebody put a brilliant comment on Twitter today, and they said, the brilliance of Mourinho, making us all worry about Fellaini missing the final whilst lowering expectations whilst profits increase. You could say, from a business sense, it's absolutely fantastic that United fans are worried that Fellaini might miss the final whilst profits go up. The club lower expectations brilliantly. They don't lower mine. I think that Manchester United fans, or Manchester United or Mourinho, being concerned that Marouane Fellaini is going to miss a final, to be honest, if you'd said that to me 3 years ago, I probably would have cried. I think I've just been worn down now by the persistence of this player that, to be honest, is a bench player at best. I know he got us to the final. I know he scored in 3 semi-finals, but, every summer you will get one sunny day, and he's been consistently not good enough over the 3 years. Now, I'm not turning it into a Fellaini witch hunt here. What I'm trying to say is that when people wonder about Manchester United and the season we've had and why we don't get in the top 4, then I think that when you have a club that is so worried about a player that I wouldn't even play in the final being injured, it sort of, I think Fellaini in the Manchester United team as a first team player sort of sums up why we've got the problems, because he's not a top 4 player. I mean, you could almost, it's unfair on Fellaini, you could almost add Lingard into that. And I'm not digging the players out. I'm just saying, when we're so concerned about these players being out, I'll be totally blunt with you, that's why we are not finishing the top 4, because you could say it for a number of players. It's not just Fellaini and Lingard. You could say the same about Phil Jones, Darmian, Smalling, obviously, Rooney this season, Carrick with his decline, Martial not playing well. There's a lot of reasons this season why we're not in the top 4, and ultimately it comes down to the players, which is perfect for me to open the show up on, because it's the Manchester United Players Awards show, and I don't think many of them actually deserve many players. We're going to find out who the Player of the Year is probably while we're live on this show. For me, it's not a contest. It's Antonio Valencia or Ander Herrera. I think they've been fantastic, and people like Pogba and Bay coming up the rear. They've been good as well. But I think the encouraging thing for me, because I know some people are going to talk about the way we've played in the Europa League final, the encouraging player for me, the encouraging thing for me is, yes, Southampton was quite disappointing last night, but look who was missing. Pogba, Valencia, beast players. Herrera and Rashford didn't really play. So those 4 players coming back, and Blind, it's nearly half a team, but it's our best set of players. So I still think there's reason for confidence, but there's also reason for concern. I appreciate that. We haven't been playing that well recently, and that does need to improve. I totally agree with that. But I also, my opinion, it is Skype Goldbridge. I'm not giving that opinion of the United Stand. My opinion is that the problems we have at the club are very much down to the fact that we are going into this final worried about Marouane Fellaini being fit. That's why we're in problems, because he's just not a top 4 player. But we are worried about it. Well, our manager's terrified that he might not be able to play him in the final against Ajax, who are a quick football playing team. Baffling. Skype Goldbridge is the word. Skype Goldbridge, all one word, and it's open. Skype is open. So first caller, I await you. I'll read some comments while we do that. Herrera Player of the Year award, has it been given? No, it's not been given yet. They're still on goal of the season. Player of the Year, Antonio Valencia, says Manic. Fellaini is a top 4 player. Trust me, I'm a pundit, says Kwame. Who do you think Man United really need to sign and who needs to go, says Ben Fleming. Well, I'll let some of you lot talk about that because the calls are starting to whiz in now. So I'm anxious to take one and open it up. Let's go with... Damien, can you hear me? Player of the Year.
Hello.
Hi, you're on the United stand, Damien. What do you want to say?
Well, I'd just like to pose a few questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Well, should we start with the Fellaini thing, or just do? Or
say whatever you want, yeah.
Well, I mean, anybody who wants to have a discussion about Fellaini, it's like, we come from a club that had people like Paul Scholes, Vision, Passmaster, Michael Carrick, and David Beckham, arguably the best passer of the ball in the world. And now we've got a guy that cannot play a 10-yard pass. So, there is no witch hunt. There is no debate. It's just, it's not even, I don't even understand why it's even a topic.
No, I agree.
So he's pedantic. He's the personification of everything that is wrong with our team. He's the only serious panic buy I can remember in our club's history. There is no discussion to be had. I've got nothing against him personally. It's just that he is not our club at all.
And I think in defence of him, a lot of people like him because they he's got a bit of, Fellaini is our player and yeah, we like him, he tries really hard. But it's a bit like the Romero De Gea thing. Look, I've got nothing against Romero, but I don't play sentimental football. I play winning football, and I would put the best goalkeeper in goal. And, Fellaini might be a nice bloke who tries really hard, but as I said before, I'm sure if you put my granddad in the team, and he's long gone, he'd try really hard as well. It's not about trying hard, it's about being good enough. And you know what? A last 10-minute player off the bench in the opposition's half, chucking high balls in. Fellaini's one of the best in Europe for that. But he's not a centre defensive midfielder. And I felt sorry for our attacking players yesterday because they've got Twan Seaby and Fellaini taking the ball off the back four and feeding the attackers, and neither of them have got that ability to do it.
It's like watching it yesterday. I mean, and then there was times where he tried to play like a forward-yard pass about 5-10 yards, managed to hit Rooney a couple of times, but then every other time it just didn't work. I mean, the thing, it's terrible to actually watch Man United have Fellaini in the centre of the field. The ball goes out to the left. He ambles over to the left. The ball comes back in the middle. He's not there. And then we're all panicking watching it because there's people running into the D with no opposition to them. When you watch teams like Juventus play, there's two players in front of the D constantly. You ain't getting nowhere near their D. And we've got Fellaini out of position. And to be honest, it's embarrassing, mate. It's embarrassing. Can we move on? I can't even talk about him.
Yeah, I'll just ask you one question because I think I know the answer and I want everyone to answer in the live comments. We never wish injury on anybody. He might already have an injury.
I'm so buzzing he's injured.
Would you hope that he's not recovered for the final next week?
I am buzzing he's injured.
So you don't want him back?
Oh, I'm buzzing. Because at the end of the day, you play with Fellaini, you're playing with 10 men. That's why we draw. Because we're playing with 10 men.
Yeah.
Simple.
Okay. All right, then move on then. What was else you wanted to talk about, Damien?
Okay. Just questions really. Do we, as United fans, with the history and the players that we've had, we have been spoiled. And because we have been spoiled, do we have to be culpable for our team's home performances? The expectation that we have has been a factor in our team's poor home performances.
Well, what do you think? It's your question.
Well, yeah. I don't want to give my opinion. I'd like to ask the questions, but it's obvious. You look at I mean, you can take the team and all the rest of it. If you take just the results, it's obvious that the expectation of playing for United, put on by the supporters at home, we have to be culpable. We have to at least acknowledge that.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, so you think that the fans are to blame as well?
I just think I think it's a big part of it. I think we're culpable, and that's why it's like, when you talk about James Rodriguez, which is he's a brilliant player, and Mata, at least it's people like Mata who are the players in the team, and Herrera, who can deal with that pressure and actually still produce. And that's what you need a team of. That's when it actually works, and that's why teams, they come to Old Trafford. They're playing on the best pitch in the league. They're having the cup final. They're playing the best football of their life, and then we've got a load of players who's can't handle the pressure, and it's exacerbated by the crowd, and ends up 1-1 draw.
I think it's a good point. You know what? I think there are. I mean, I sort of had a bit of a fallout. Well, I didn't intentionally have a fallout about the Rodriguez thing. All I was trying to say is that Rodriguez is a great player, but he's not. It reminds me when we were linked with Perisic about a month ago, and a lot of people don't know who Perisic is. Left-sided player for Inter, mid to late 20s. He's not a Galactico, and people were like, I don't want Perisic. I want Rodriguez. I want this. I want that. And I'm like, when you look at this season especially, the players that have performed the best have been Valencia. They've been Herrera. They've been Bailly. They've been Mata has been very consistent. Well, they're not the Galactico players. These are the players that you need, like you say. That when the Stokes and the Burnleys come to Old Trafford and they're up for it, they're a team full of average Premier League players. And I'm not calling Herrera and Valencia average players, but they're sort of the grinders, the grafters. Sorry, and that's what we need more of.
Exactly. The thing with Herrera is the guy fought his way into the team. There wasn't a place for him. He's adapted his style of play, he's adapted his position, and he's fought his way into the team because he wants to play, he loves the club, he gets it. Matt is a lovely guy who understands he can deal with the pressure of playing for Man United. He knows the magnitude of it, and he deals with it. So it's just nothing.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that it, Damien?
No. I've got other questions. I think that do we, as Man United fans, have to start thinking a little bit more fourth dimensionally when it comes to football? Because what I mean by that is, like, take the Swansea game. It's like we were all like, why are we defending against Swansea? This, that, and the other. This is how we shouldn't be playing at home and stuff like that. But the fact of the matter is, Mourinho is the guy in charge. He knows how fit and healthy the team is. We didn't play defensive against Swansea. They overran us because they were fit players, in the same way that Southampton overran us in the EFL final because they'd had more rest. We look at Man United Swansea home game. We look at the team that we might have to pick. We think about how those players have played and can play, and we think, oh, right, it's going to be 3-1. We don't think fourth dimensionally, our players have been playing this many games and they haven't. They're, as you say, playing for the Ferraris and the wives' handbags and stuff as well to stay in the league. And if you think fourth dimensionally like that, then you get to a stage where it can be 1-1. I think too many times we don't do that as United fans, and we invariably end up disappointed.
Good points, Damien. We could talk all night, but I've got to try and get everybody a good 5 minutes on. But hopefully some other people will pick up on what you've asked, because I think they're really good points as well. Thanks for calling, and please do call in again.
Yeah, no problem, Mark.
Cheers, Damien. Thank you. Let me just take some live comments, then we'll take another call. Gazamania says, I don't want Fellaini injured for the final. I just want him dropped for a better player. Good point. Won't happen. Remember, guys, it took Sir Alex Ferguson 5 years to win the FA Cup, says Jake Pullman. Sorry, Jake. With all due respect, it's just a different world. A totally different world. Mourinho should be given time to build his team, says Jerome. Well, I agree with that. I think look, this time next week, if we lose the Europa League final, there'll be a meltdown, and it's right to be a meltdown. I'll be furious as well, because it's not really about the Europa League, it's more about the Premier League. It's a disaster. It's embarrassing that we've not come in the top four, and it needs to be discussed. But Mourinho shouldn't go in the summer. He should be given another year. And I think, Player of the Year awards that are going on now, well, not, like I say, not many of them deserve any award, because it's not been good enough. Ryan, can you hear me, Ryan? Ryan? Hello? Just silence. Okay, let's try somebody else. Who we got? Let's try Georgie. Georgie, can you hear me?
Yep, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. What do you want to say, pal?
I'd like to ask a question. With the season so far, forget Fellaini and then the performing players. Who would you choose for your player of the season?
My player of the year would be, I think it would have to be Valencia. I think Herrera's been good, but I think Valencia would get it for me, and mainly because, and I'm always happy to accept when I'm wrong. I was quite critical about Valencia. I said he's not a right back. I don't know why we play him as a right back. He's got no positional sense. He's good going forward, but he's not positionally very good. I think Mourinho deserves a massive amount of applause, and obviously the player themselves, because I think Mourinho said around Christmas time he's the best right back in the world. A lot of people laughed, but by then I was starting to believe it. I wouldn't swap him for anybody. I think he's absolutely fantastic. What about you? Who would your player of the year be?
I First of all, I think I'd probably give it to Herrera, but on a
I can't argue with
consistent
that.
basis. On a consistent basis, I think this is where the difference comes in. I think Valencia has played more games than Herrera has, so probably give it to Valencia as well. And like the caller before said, need to focus more on players who are willing to play for the budge, because I think there's too many players right now who are just like sailing with the team. People like Phil Jones, because they know as soon as Mourinho gets like a centre back, they're probably going to end up in Sunderland or like West Brom, one of them. So I think we should focus more on players who are ready to play for the team rather than players who are out for the money. Because right now, I think it's this summer is make or break for Mourinho. It's more like teams will, if a player costs like 30 million and Manchester United is paying for him, we're probably gonna have to pay like 50, 60. If Rodriguez is coming, we're paying not less than 50. I'm sure of it. So we should focus more on players who are ready to play for the badge and less players who are more like Galactico.
Yes, you're breaking up a little bit, but what George is basically saying is that United should focus this summer. It's a very important summer for Mourinho, and we should focus a little bit more on the players that are going to play for the badge and not necessarily the big Galacticos, which is something I've been saying for quite a while. What I would also say is, as well, is whether you're Mourinho in or out, if we are in the same position next year where the football's not good, we've not got top four, and I think his job would be in danger in a year's time. But for now, he definitely needs to stay. Was there anything else you wanted to ask as well, Georgie?
Like you just said, he probably needs one season. I think he'll probably need another season. Okay, hear me out. The thing is, it takes 11 players to make a team. Right now, he has 4 of his own players. He probably needs an estimated 4 more players before the whole team gels. It also takes another season. So I'll probably give him, I said last time I called, I said 1 season, probably 2 seasons. Then yeah, if it's the football is abysmal, you have to start asking questions.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for calling in, Georgie. 2 good points. Where are you calling from?
Nairobi, Kenya.
You've called in before, haven't you?
Yeah, I called in on Monday.
Oh right, God, my memory's even shorter than that. Thanks for calling in, pal, and please do call in again.
All right, thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Right, it's been a tough week. Let's have a look at some live comments. Massive shout out to Beck Howell, says Evil Duck. Nice to see him there. Yeah, massive shout out to Beck, who is one of our moderators. Very, very good. Hello United Stan, says Tiny Mario 75. And Gaza Mania again says Valencia, Herrera or Bay for me. I think Eric Bay's a good shout for player of the year, but I think because he was injured in the African nations, it's got to go to the other one. D-Dub just made me laugh. I'm not going to shout it out what he said, but if you're on there, you can read what he said. For the Mouth of the Year award, Mattress Face. Why Mattress Face? Am I missing something? Jose needs another 200 million and will still play like Iceland, says Mo Green. And the other day, humongous shout out to Beck Hale, says Alex Bork. This reminds me very quickly. I've just figured out that you can actually do polls on a live stream, which is brilliant for me because I can ask you questions and I can write them out and you can give me an answer. However, it's in the top right hand corner. It's an eye. I don't know whether it shows up on mobile or not, but what it is, A lot of people calling in, so I need to take another call. But what it is, we're thinking about doing a United Stand poker tournament this summer. There'll be prizes, and we'll probably do it through. We'll probably have to do it through a betting company because they've got all the structure to do it. But it'll be our own private poker tournament. In a couple of discussions with people whether they can host that for us. The poll is basically, would you be interested in doing it? Because if no one's interested in doing it, we won't bother doing it. But you've got to be over 18, obviously, because poker is gambling, isn't it? So you've got to be over 18. It's just something to get through the summer. Me and Marcus play a bit of poker. We've got a little app that we play. If anybody's interested and you're over 18 and it's available in your country, I don't know how it works in America, but drop us a vote. But don't bother voting if it's not going to be something that you can do. But that's the poll in the top right hand corner. Right. Let me look for another caller. Hello, caller. Kareem, Kieran, James. Okay, let's try James. James, can you hear me? Hello? Right, that wasn't great. Let's try Daniel. Daniel, can you hear me? Hello.
Hey Mark, you all right?
I'm good. You were very quick off the buzzer there. Normally a bit of a gap. Yeah, I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm sound, mate. I'm sound. Nervous for next week, but you know how it is.
Yes, very nervous about next week. I think as we get closer to it, I will become more and more nervous. I think when you're far away from something, you can sort of deal with it. But I'm just concerned. Well, I won't be very happy this time next week. But was that what you wanted to talk about, or was it something else? Or
No, it's just the general feeling at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about, obviously, Fellaini, whether he'll be fit or not. I would not get your hopes up if anyone's hoping he's going to be out. I think he will play. But, to be honest, even if Fellaini plays, and I know he's a problem, for me, the biggest, if I had a choice between who plays, Lingard and Fellaini, I know which I would go with. What would your thoughts be about? I mean, you might be happy to play both.
To be honest, Fellaini can stay injured for me. I've agreed with pretty much everything you've said about him. He's not a United player. He can do a job for us, but he definitely shouldn't be first choice in that team. With Fellaini, we're very stagnant, trying to go from defence to attack, and it slows us right down. So I'm happy. Well, obviously I'm not happy that he's injured, but I'll be glad that if he doesn't get a spot in the team. I think we need to go with a midfield three of Pogba, Herrera, and Mata, and then a front three of Martial, Rashford, and Mkhitaryan.
You know what? I said this on the Sunday show. If we played that, I think I went a bit overboard and said it's one of the best attacking sides in Europe. But because obviously Real Madrid have probably got a better one, and Barcelona. But that's the common sense, exciting front six United should have. And I don't even know if we played it once this season, which is, in my mind, it's shocking. If I'm playing FIFA or something like that, I'd go with that six. Live comments will probably say, it's, I don't know. I can't see the problem with it. Can you?
Not at all. I think Herrera and Mata got a lot to say as well. I think they work really well together. And then, obviously, the typical Mourinho way of having a tight right midfielder to give the right back a lot of bombing space. You think of the Maicons and all these players he's had at other clubs. That's how he really likes the right back to get forward. So I think it opens a lot of options for us. I think since we've sort of stopped playing Mata in that role, Valencia's been very stop-start. He's great on the instinct play when he just bombs it, but if he's got to think about it, he's a little bit of a weak link, I find, going forward.
Yeah. I mean, it won't be that front six, will it? I mean, let's be totally honest. It's not going to be that. I think the best we can hope for is, I do think it will be Fellaini, Pogba, and Herrera midfield three. I personally think he might do Lingard, Rashford, and it'll either be Mata or Mkhitaryan. But I just that terrifies me. Fellaini in the midfield is bad enough, but Lingard and Rashford as part of a front three. I mean, Rashford's fantastic, but Rashford's a kid. I think he needs a little bit better around him than Jesse Lingard, who, we call him a little kid, but he's not. He's in his mid-20s. But that would, if Fellaini and Lingard start, that's when I start to get worried. If it's only one of them, I think we can do it.
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, I'm not as harsh on Lingard as yourself, but he's definitely not good enough for United for a title-winning team, and he has to turn up because he does go missing quite often. We've obviously seen him turn up in finals before, but you can't guarantee it.
That's an interesting point because we've not had anybody on before who's defensive of Lingard, which actually is great. So, what you can see some good in him then, can you?
To a point, I don't think we've got many options. Like I said, he's not a title-winning player. He's not even a top 4 player in my eyes. I think he'd be great for the likes of Everton or West Ham or someone like that. But we haven't got many options, have we, Mark? Really?
I think you know what I think with Lingard is when he got given that contract a few weeks ago and there was a bit of a meltdown. I sort of reacted to it live and I said, look, he only had about a year left on his contract. He's an English player, so it's part of the homegrown quota. He had United by the balls really because we want to keep obviously the English players, and he's basically got us over the balls because if we don't give him a contract, he'll go for nothing. So he's got himself 80 grand or 100 grand a week, which to be honest, pat on the back, mate, because you're not worth it. But I did say, as a squad player, he's quite useful. I think the problem that annoys a lot of people is that the Mourinho's using him as a first-team player, and that's the problem with Lingard, because he's just not a first-team player for any top, I'd say, top 6 side. I think as a squad player, I mean, I wouldn't even put him on the bench when everybody's fit, but as a squad player, he's quite useful. But the problem is, he's being used as a first-team player ahead of people like Martial and Mata, and that that's the problem for me with Lingard. It's not that he's totally useless, it's just that he shouldn't be in a first team.
Yeah, I fully agree. Can I just make a point on this whole Jose in, Jose out malarkey that's going on?
Yeah, please.
I don't quite understand where these people are coming from with their Jose out comments. I don't think you can judge Jose on the past season. He's got a squad of players who aren't good enough, which we've known for a few years now. As you've stated on your channel previously, he's, Moyes and Van Gaal ruined an already declining team. He plays defense. I mean, at the start of the season, Mourinho, we were playing good football, and I think the turning point was when we played City at Old Trafford. We got absolutely minced all around the pitch, and I think that's when he realised this team is not good enough to go toe to toe with these, with the other big teams in the league, and that's why he started turtling up a little bit. I think it's far too early to start putting Mourinho's head on the block. I think give him a transfer window, let him get some of his players in, and we'll see what happens next season. Because I do believe that he will play good football with United. I think he realises the importance of the entertainment.
Yeah, and you know what? You're spot on because, I mean, I will defend Mourinho because I like him. I won't defend what we've been like for the last few weeks because the football's been not good enough. But we have played some of the best football we've seen at United in a number of years under Jose, especially when we had that Mata, Herrera, Pogba midfield. So, I think he is fully aware of it, and it's not the disaster season in relation to the play. It's not, the play hasn't always been bad. The disastrous side of this season is the failure and the dropping of points, which is, to me, is totally down to the players. Yeah,
fully agree with you, Mark. Fully agree, mate.
Well, thanks for calling in, Daniel. First time calling in?
First time, mate. Yeah, I've got into your channel about a week ago. I'm late to the party, but I've been addicted ever since. I've been watching your videos from months ago. Top job, mate. Keep it up.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Really nice to see that we're still drawing people in. Just spread the word. And I think, away from whatever the content is, the community we've built up's great. So get involved and please do call in again.
For sure. Thanks, Mark.
Cheers, pal.
So,
I never think about stuff like that. I never think that there's people that might just be joining from the last week or month or everything. So you're all very welcome. It's a fantastic journey and we're all loving doing it. So do get involved. I'm going to take another call, but I'm multitasking as well. I'm always listening, but I am multitasking because I just want to put a tweet out. And I know I've got a picture. That's the one. Okay, you'll see it on Twitter and you'll know what I'm on about. Apparently the poll isn't working for some people. It's on my screen, but I'm on a desktop. So maybe if you're on a laptop or if you're not on a laptop, I don't know whether polls show up or not. But if you're interested in doing a poker tournament and you're over 18, do cast a vote. I know normally we'll be doing United related stuff, but it's just something we're planning on doing in the summer. Okay, let's get Tyrone on. Can you hear me, Tyrone?
How you doing? You alright?
I'm good. You've not been on for a while. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad.
Good. What was it you wanted to talk about, mate?
I wanted to talk about Pogba. Obviously, like most people, I'd want him to start the final, but I'm not too sure if his head is going to be in the right place
Um,
following the death of his dad.
no, he's going to play on Sunday against Palace, isn't he? Probably surrounded by a load of kids because that's and that. I tell you, I can't wait for the game on Sunday. You know, I thought last night and Spurs were just dead rubber games, but Sunday's going to be quite exciting for a number of reasons. But it looks like Pogba will play in that. I think as long as he can, I agree with you. Grief affects people in different ways, and
Yeah.
it could go into a shell or it could inspire him. But it's definitely a good point and one that nobody's really mentioned before because Pogba's so important to us.
He is, yeah, because when he doesn't play, you really notice the difference.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether you watched the game last night, and I really am a big fan of Twansibi, and I'm not necessarily, for once, slating Fellaini for this, but when you've got a midfield two of Twansibi and Fellaini, then you're not going to create a lot because they're not really creative players who can feed the attackers. So obviously we'll have Herrera playing, barring some unfortunate injury, but Pogba is a massive player. I mean, I think the thing about Pogba is that whether he turns up or not, the opposition are always thinking about him. So even if he's having a bad game, it allows other people to come into it.
The problem is when you got Fellaini playing for you, turning up, and he's in the starting lineup, the opposition are going to look at it. They're not going to be afraid.
Yeah.
You know, they used to be afraid of seeing the likes of Scholes or Roy Keane in our midfield, and now they've got to worry about Fellaini, but he's not really a threat. So I don't really want him to start the final, to be honest, but I just know he will.
It's a good point because I think if, as we were saying with the previous caller, and I don't for a life of me imagine Mourinho would do this, but if he played a midfield three of Herrera, Pogba, Mata, and then Mkhitaryan on the right, Martial on the left, and Rashford up front, Ajax, I think, would be like, bloody hell, they mean business.
Yeah,
they mean business.
Could tear them
won't.
apart.
Yeah, but we won't. We was on about Lingard before, and I just think if he picks Lingard and Fellaini like we did in the semi-finals, I mean, I don't know what you think, Tyrone, and everybody at home, but I think we're just getting a bit lost here because it's like we played Celta Vigo and we were rubbish. We played Anderlecht and we were rubbish. And Fellaini and Lingard played in those games. And I think people are like, "Oh, play the team who got us here." Well, they barely did, and there's a lot better in our squad.
Yeah, I mean, watching the Celta Vigo game, literally with the last kick, we would have been out of the Europa League. It wasn't good enough. No. It just wasn't good enough at all.
Sorry, go on.
It's just so negative. I mean, Man United, we're used to going to teams. We're used to just going there, attacking and blowing teams away. But he will be one goal up and he'll try and protect the lead. You can't be doing that at United. It doesn't suit us.
Tobias Robinson says Martial needs to start. And I've seen this a little bit on Twitter today. A few people saying that Martial needs to start. If anyone follows my Mark Goldbridge YouTube channel, I did my FIFA career today. And there's a funny bit in there where Martial gets the chance to run away, and I messed it up, and they get 8 men behind the ball, and then I ran through all 8, hit the post, but got a penalty.
Yeah.
Martial, I love Martial. I mean, Martial and Rashford are my favourite 2 players. Ross, before the Spurs game, said it doesn't matter what Martial does in the next 3 games before the final, he will not play in the final. Do you think that's the case?
No, I think I'm not sure if Jose is going to pick him, but in my opinion, he has to play. Because he's one of the few players who can actually go at the ball with pace and go past people. So, I think he has to play. Him and Mkhitaryan have to play against Ajax. If not, we're going to struggle.
You know what? I don't know loads about Ajax, but I have been doing a lot of research and watching them a lot. And Ajax's biggest weakness is their defence. If we don't attack their defence effectively and sit back, then we're asking to get beat. And the only way you're going to beat a team that you're going to probably have to get men behind the ball against, because they do pass the ball around well, and we will, I totally agree. When they've got the ball, we're going to have to be compact, is with decent ball out the back and pace. And for me, that's Rashford and Martial have to start. My fear is he will think the same, but think, I'll play Lingard because he's quite quick.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why he uses Lingard because he's got the pace, but he can't cross. And he's weak. You need someone strong. He gets blown off the ball too easily.
I ask you, it's probably an unfair question to answer about Lingard because I've said exactly the same. This is a bloke. I think he's 24, maybe 25 now. People mistake him as a youth player and he's not. He's in his mid-20s. Sir Alex Ferguson said years ago, when he bulks up, he's going to be a great player. I sort of agree with that. I think if he bulked up, he would be a better player because he wouldn't have this issue of getting knocked off the ball. I don't think he's ever going to bulk up.
Sorry, yeah, he has to get in the gym and just strengthen up.
Yeah, he's paid 80 grand a week, 100 grand a week, whatever. He must not be able to bulk up because it's the most obvious thing out there, and he's just a streak of piss, isn't he? Let's be honest. I mean,
I laughed. I laughed when you said he wasn't worth 80 grand a week, and I agreed with it. It's not worth it, you know.
No, he's not. But you know, if he bulked up, I just don't think he ever will. By your mid-20s, if you're going to bulk up, you should have done it by now. But
the thing is, United. I mean, this is the first time I've seen United, and we haven't got like two really world-class wingers who can put the ball in.
We miss it big time, don't we?
Yeah, he's got to go out in the summer and get two really world-class wingers. We miss it big time.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the one thing about James Rodriguez I would say is he's got a lovely, lovely cross. If he's playing on the right or the left, he's got a lovely cross with his left foot. And, the quality
I don't really want him at all, to be honest.
Well,
I don't want James at all. I hope he doesn't come.
I don't disagree because I don't think there's a lot of difference between what we've already got when I look at Mata and Mkhitaryan and certainly Pereira coming back. But what we need, I think, is wingers, proper wingers who are quick and can put a ball in the box. Because Martial's not necessarily good at putting the ball in the box. But I look around world football and I can't really think of many. I mean, I know a few in the Premier League. It's whether they could take the step up. But
I know two really good ones.
Go on then.
I know really two. You got Christian Pulisic, who's the American player for Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah.
And you've got Max Meyer. They're both really young, but I think they'd both do an amazing job if they came in.
Well, I think we might have to go down that route because besides people like Robben, there used to be a lot of quick wingers about there. In fact, Ronaldo used to be one, didn't he? But there isn't a lot of prime sign. I think that's probably why he's looking at someone like Perisic because Perisic actually, if you put him out on the left side, he'll just graft, he'll put crosses in, and that's probably why we're looking at him, because there's not a lot of star talent out there that are obvious, but there'll be players out there. I just think, it might be a bit like an Eric Bailly sort of signing, where people are like, well, who's that? And then they end up being really good.
I think with Pulisic, it would make sense commercially, because I think he's their brightest talent. Like, I think he's American, and apparently he was the youngest player to ever play for the United States team, but he's very good, excellent.
Yeah, I might mention him on a transfer show actually, because
he's a United fan as well, which helps.
And especially with the American market, United would be stupid not to do something about that. But thanks for calling, Tyrone. Good points as ever. Just
no
very
worries.
Quickly, are you confident we'll win next Wednesday?
Yeah, it's unthinkable not to. We've got to win. We're going to win. Don't worry about that.
I think we all are, aren't we? We're all going for a win because we just can't think about losing.
Yeah, we're going to win. Don't worry.
Cheers, pal. Please do call in
cheers,
again.
Mark.
Ta-da.
All right, take care. Bye.
Good points from Tyrone. I always notice him on the live comments as well. Let's have a look if there's any updates. There's no player of the... I don't know what time they're even doing player of the year, to be honest. I said it will be live for it, but who knows. Lots of you watching. Remember, this is the Skype show. It's a bonus one, so please do drop a like for two reasons. One, for everyone who's called in tonight, because it's nice to get the likes on there for those people who do call in and support them. And two, because we normally do this on a Monday night. We're doing it on a Thursday night. Do you want us to do Monday, Thursday through the off-season? So, a lot of people calling in now. I won't get through everybody, but the more shows that we do, the more opportunities you get to get on. So drop a like if you'd like us to keep doing it on a Thursday as well as a Monday. There are people calling in. I am just... I'm taking too long with this. Let's try Michael. Michael, can you hear me?
Hey mate, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad at all.
Good. What was it you wanted to talk about?
Just going on what you and Lad before were talking about with no proper world-class young wingers. I think it's just the style of football that has kind of evolved in the last few years. It seems as though we're not going towards just pacey wingers like we kind of want. It's more that technical drift into the inside and kind of start attacks from there type wingers. What do you reckon?
You know what? It's a great point that I'm glad has sort of developed for the show because, like I say, I was doing my career mode on my channel this afternoon, and we were talking because it was in the January transfer window, and I was like, I need a quick winger to sort of, sort things out, and we couldn't find any. One person I did already have part of my squad, who I'm a big fan of, and a lot of people might not know anything about him, is Hirving Lozano. He's Mexican. I'm not saying he'd sign for United and be a fantastic player, but he's probably their best player for Mexico coming through, and we've got a big Mexican support for Manchester United. But yeah,
we do.
I think that I think it's a shame because growing up, I used to do the Lee Sharp jig. I loved Lee Sharp. And obviously Giggs was on the scene. We've had Kanchelskis. Ronaldo was an exciting winger when he was here. And to be honest, when I used to play at lunchtime, I couldn't do it at the high level because I wasn't quick enough. I'd always go out on the wing. I love wing play. And Manchester United have always been Georgie Best. We've always been big on it. And I agree with you. I think you've made a really good point.
It's been United's staple. That's what we're kind of half known for, just having amazing wingers that just run rings around opposition.
Yeah, I think it's a sad thing. But I mean, the thing I was going to come to there, and then everybody at home is, well, do you think it's the Lee Sharp jig? Apparently, I always used to call it the Lee Sharp shuffle because sharp and shuffle.
Yeah.
But I probably named that myself. But do you think it's dead from the game? Because I have a theory that actually I think it could be very effective in the game.
I 100% believe that it's going to come back. It's going to be effective. I just think. With the whole youth system now of teams really trying to emphasize ball players, I think some of these true wingers are kind of being cast aside for more technical inside players that are kind of being put out onto the wing if they've got a little bit more pace than their inside counterparts. But yeah, I believe that youth development will finally come back to its roots of we can develop extremely quick players into their technical counterparts.
Yeah, I mean,
but maybe we won't see that for a few more years. But yeah, that's just my opinion.
It's a lot of them, as somebody said it there. There seems to be everybody's a number 10, and a lot of number 10s could be very good wingers, but maybe they don't want to be on the wing because you're not involved as much. Because people like Griezmann, I think he'd be a very good winger, but wants to be involved as a number 10. And it's exactly the same problem we have with Anthony Martial. I don't know what you think, but Anthony Martial is a left winger. He's a brilliant left winger. He might become a striker. He's a left winger, but he wants to play up front. It must be infuriating for Mourinho because he's a left winger.
Well, you don't have to do as much track and back up front, do you?
No.
And that's not exactly what you want to do.
And you don't get as much as the ball because we go down the right a lot. I mean, I've seen us this season just not use the left side that much. I mean, to be fair, we're more balanced this year, but under Van Gaal, it was everything down the right.
Yeah, I think we just don't have that established left back going forward. Shaw is supposed to be that person, but he hasn't exactly worked out. And you stick any of the centre backs on the left, and they're not going to be running rings up and down your left side for you. So I can see how we've gone down the right, especially with Valencia having the amazing season he's had so far. Absolutely been fantastic.
I think, I don't know whether you're a FIFA player yourself, but if people watch when I play it, and I have plugged it a lot tonight because I have done an episode on my channel, the Mark Goldbridge channel, but Tyrone Williams says, United really miss a left winger with a wand of a left foot. And I think everybody, whether they're playing FIFA or whether they've played football themselves or anything like that, you will notice it if you're watching them on something like FIFA, for example, because people will play the way that they want football to be played. Some people will be looking for a long ball over the top. Some people will move it down the fullbacks. And one thing I always do is I will switch the play, but I'm looking to get down the wide, expose their fullback with a pacey winger, and then when I'm hitting the touchline or just before, I'm putting a low cross in for my striker to get on the end of. Now that is totally dead at United, and Tyrone Williams says United really miss a left winger with the wand of a left foot. I mean, Ryan Giggs, run at his man, whip it in with his left foot. Everybody wants to come back and do it with the other foot now, which as an ex-defender, I said this I must have said it 2 years ago, I remember it saying, look, I used to play centre-back quite a lot because I could read the game quite well and I was a bit of a sweeper. if somebody's coming back onto their right foot to whip it in, it's coming straight at me. I can see it. I'm the one attacking it. For the attacker, it's very difficult because they're looking for a flick on, something like that, and I'm facing the ball. If somebody whips a cross in when I've got my face to goal, that's a hell of a different cross because the striker can attack it. And for me, if I attack it, I'm either heading it and it could go in off me for a goal or a corner. Very hard to defend. But there's this reluctance to whip a cross in with if you're on the left with your left foot, if you're on the right with your right foot.
Not to mention it gives the left and right back absolute hell when you're cutting in. They're running back at full pace. They can't completely get behind the ball. You cut back in, and all of a sudden, they've read it. They're perfectly balanced. They're going to get a block in by, a high percentage, and not to mention everyone else is now stopped, now facing the ball. Just makes it so much easier for the defense to cut it out. So I completely agree there.
I've really enjoyed that. Where are you calling from, Michael?
Perth, Australia. It's in the morning, 4 a.m. But doing a bit of uni work and decided to tune in. And absolutely loving the show. Joined a few weeks ago. Been trying to catch it as much as possible. But yeah, good stuff.
That's brilliant. That really puts a smile on my face. I'm sure it does for everybody else that, we've got people from around the world phoning in at 4 a.m. in the morning. And I'm fantastic. It makes me pleased because I can't, there's so many people calling. I'm glad I took your call because obviously that is some dedication. I hope the work's going well. And please do call in again.
Thank you very much, sir.
Cheers, pal. Thanks for calling.
Catch up. Bye.
I enjoyed that. I mean, I enjoy all your calls, but I enjoyed that. And Tyrone, we started it, and it's developed there with Michael as well. That this, I think it's a big thing. And I think as a United Stand army and as community, we should really start drilling this. I spoke about it a couple of years ago. Why? I mean, Matt is the prime example of it because he's got a left foot. His cross always curls into the box with the centre-back facing it. If he was on the other side, he'd be curling it and the centre-back's not facing it and they're in trouble. Just need a winger with a left and a right foot, hit the full-backs, whip the cross in. I mean, Gary Neville and Beckham were just so hard to deal with because Neville would bomb on an overlap. And then if you went with Neville, you left space for Beckham to put the cross in. If you didn't go with Neville, Beckham would just put it into the path for Neville to whip it in first time. Quality ball with the person on that side with their foot is just... It's dying, and there's no reason for it to die. No reason for it to die at all. I'm going to take a call. Don't worry. I'm just having a look. I'm going to try this person because they've been trying a while. Nicholas, can you hear me?
Yeah, hey Mark, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm well. Basically, what I'd like to talk about, which you seldomly bring up on the show, is you typically say Mourinho is the best manager in the world, and basically since last year, the trajectory on Mourinho seems to be going down, and I'll elaborate a little bit. The team in the beginning played much more fluid football, but I'm not sure Mourinho knows his best 11. I'm not sure if he knows his best formation. He's had a year with this team, and if he can't come up with either what style of team he'd like to bring out or the formation, it's a little disturbing. That and, if you look at the players in our squad, we have far better attacking talent than defensive talent, but yet he still goes into big games with a defensive, sort of a pragmatic approach where he's kind of handcuffing the team on the whole. If we had better defenders, I could see that the tactics working out better. But as you said, if he played a midfield three with Mata, Herrera, and Pogba, which we all don't think he's going to do, it would probably alleviate a lot of the issues. But you look at what he did last year with Chelsea. He took the defending champions and almost got them relegated. He's taken this team. I'll grant it, the team may not be exactly what he's looking for, but the best manager, wouldn't he improve the squad in some capacity? Because it's not, you can't buy every player, you know what I mean? You gotta a good manager will take a decent player, make them good, take a good player, make them great. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of differences with what he used to be compared to what he is now. I think we need to be a little bit more realistic on what Jose is moving forward. I definitely think he's a good manager. I think he might need to change what he's done in the past and kind of go forward with as a different type of manager. What's your views on that?
I just want to read a comment. Deborah says, "What am I doing? I completely forgot about tonight's show." Deborah, it's not good enough. But no, I think look, there's definitely two sides to this story, and nobody's going to be wrong because of that. But when I look back at this season, I think I can summarise it in a couple of sentences. He made 4 signings, all of which I believe have been good signings. Up until around Christmas time, we were playing really good football, whether it was a midfield of Herrera, Mata and Pogba, or Herrera, Pogba and Carrick. It was very good. We played good football. We went on a good run. We dropped a lot of points because we didn't put the ball in the back of the net, but the football was good. I think since Christmas, I'd fall into what you're saying. For some reason, Mourinho stopped playing this good football and took a very pragmatic approach. And we've grinded out results, and the football has now become where we are consistently picking people like Fellaini and Lingard in the team. And that is straight away, whatever you think about those players, it's a defensive approach. Fellaini's not a creator, he's a destroyer. Not like a Kante, but his job is to just get in the way. Lingard is just a hard worker. He's not to run past 5 or 6 players and put a good cross in. He's not got that in his case. And our defenders have become very important. So I don't know why he's done that. My hope is that this summer he will realise I should have got rid of players last year, but I wanted to give them a chance. They're not good enough. And I think he'll be judged next year, both on where we finish, but also the football we play. I hope that sort of answers what I think. Because I think he has got the potential to still make Manchester United great again. But it's been it's almost a split season. One side of it before Christmas was very good in relation to the football. We missed a lot of chances, obviously. And the second half of the season has been very negative and defensive. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. It kind of broke up a little bit.
Yeah, I've sort of answered that. So I don't want to sort of repeat it, but I was just saying that, yeah, I think it's next season's the big key for Mourinho, because the first half of the season we played good football. The second half he's gone very negative, and I don't really understand why he's done that, other than maybe he doesn't trust the players and he's just gone back to trying to grind out results.
I do have a question. Being that I'm an American, there's some subtleties of football that I don't quite get, and maybe it's just my naivety, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you and maybe get some comments on the chat. But can you explain to me why there's different tactics when Manchester United goes on an away match compared to where they are at home? Like, why would Manchester United go into a big game against City and then play for a draw? Why wouldn't they go for the win? Because that was actually a big game. We needed to win that game. We just came out and looked like we were playing for a draw. I genuinely don't understand that mentality, because in American sports we go out to win, whether you're road or away. Like, you play to win. There's no play to tie. I mean, I just like a little bit of like I guess an English perspective. Can you tell me, in your eyes, why there's different tactics with road and away games?
You know what? With naivety often comes brilliant questions, and I think when I started listening to that, I was like, oh, but I think it's a fantastic question, because actually there's a technical answer, but the reality is we shouldn't. Your confusion with it, as much as we would go, I could say, well, we went to Manchester City away from home because they're one of the biggest teams in England, and we didn't want to get beat, so we were like, let's play defensive, try and nick a goal and win it 1-0, but if we get a point, we get a point. That's the approach. Some teams do it. Some teams do that quite a lot. I mean, when you look at teams when they come to Old Trafford, they call it parking the bus, where they don't want to play a proper game of football and try and win it, because they'll leave themselves open. So they'll play defensive, try and nick a goal, but if they get a point, they're very happy. But I agree with you, Manchester United should never do that, but we've seen us do it quite a lot this season. Liverpool away back in October, Chelsea, we got beat 4-0, but we tried to do it, Man City. The worrying thing for me this last few weeks is that when we've been at home, we've sat back and tried to defend and then hit teams on a break. So, yeah, Manchester. To answer the question, you're spot on. Manchester United, realistically, if we've got the players that we should have and we're playing the way we should have, we shouldn't be parking the bus or playing defensive against anyone. We should be trying to win. But a very, very, very good point, Nicholas. Whereabouts in America are you phoning from?
Oh, I'm in Los Angeles. I've already got tickets for the LA Galaxy Man United game. It's really close to my birthday, so I'm looking forward to seeing them here.
Hopefully David De Gea will be in goal. Mourinho seems to think he will. I've got a feeling he'll be in Real Madrid kit by then.
Yeah, his ticket's punched to Madrid, I'm sorry to say.
Thanks for calling, Nicholas. Please do call in again.
Thanks, Mark.
Cheers, pal. Thank you. You know what? I again loved that call, and I think that question was brilliant because it's like, we don't appreciate that. Obviously football's my life. I've played it. I've sort of been brought up on it tactically, everything like that. Love it and everything like that. But worldwide support, you might have only started supporting Manchester United recently. You might not know about how in depth we go, especially when you've got other sports in your countries. So a fantastic question. And the brilliance about that question is, all right, some people might say, well, it's obvious, whatever like that. But it's never obvious. If you don't know a question, you should ask. But the naivety of the question, in a way, is the brilliance of it. Because why are Manchester United going away from home and playing such defensive football? We shouldn't be doing it. And it's hard to explain it. I mean, I can explain it and say, oh, yeah, because we're playing for a draw. But the whole point is Manchester United shouldn't be playing for a draw. That's not the way we should play at all. Robert, can you hear me?
Question. Hello. Yeah. One sec. I just turning off the stream because I'm watching on my phone and it's behind compared to actual time.
Okay.
So hello. Yeah.
Okay, Robert.
Am I coming through clearly?
Yeah, lovely, brilliant. What was it you wanted to say?
Yeah, I've got you. I don't know. Well, about the thing about the wingers, there is no wingers really in the top, in terms of if you looked at the 16 teams playing, that got through the last 16 of the Champions League. How many of those teams can you name having a winger? Like an out and out winger, like Gareth Bale, potentially.
Yeah.
And off the top of my head, that's the only one I can think of, and even then he cuts in more than he crosses nowadays.
You know what I think? It's not something I've sort of been aware of it, but I've loved this show because it sort of brought something to the floor that I don't think anyone's really talking about. And I think you're right. There's nobody in really using it. But you know what? I don't see any reason why it's not being used. It's not like the old 4-4-2 where I can see why that doesn't get used anymore because you get swamped in the midfield against the 4-3-3. But wingers, I can almost see that there's going to be... It's a bit like what Kante's done this season, isn't it? With his 3-4-3, which when you've got the ball, it's a 3-4-3. When you've not got the ball, it becomes like a 5-4-1. And everyone starts using it because it's like, oh, no one's been using that. What a great formation. I can almost see wingers coming back with some team and they'll start blowing everybody away. And then it's a bit like when Barcelona came along, isn't it? With their tiki-taka stuff. I think it's a system that nobody is using, you're right, but could be used. Even if you've only had what you mean, you don't necessarily have to have a right and left winger. You could just have one on one side and they, switch or whatever like that. But you're right, the total dearth of it in top level football is amazing.
Yeah, because we used to play with Park Jae-sung on one side and Cristiano Ronaldo on the other, I think, if I'm remembering this correctly.
Gigs, yeah.
Yeah, and Park Jae-sung wasn't really. He was a hard worker. He was a good player. Was a good player for us, but wasn't really across the ball. Whereas Cristiano Ronaldo bombing down the other side, his crosses led to a good few goals. I know he did also cut in, but he crossed and he cut in rather than just now he just gets 90% cutting in and then the occasional cross.
Yeah, I mean, well, we played Arsenal the other week, didn't we? And they were showing them goals, I think, in the Champions League that we scored against them on the break. And, they're coming in. So many goals from Manchester United were scored from the wide. Paul Scholes bombing into the box. I mean, I remember somebody saying it. I think it was Tony Adams said he used to hate playing against Manchester United because they would just put quality crosses in the box, and it would be, I think his words were, it was like flies round shit, because they'd just be midfielders, full-backs, strikers just bombing into the box, and you couldn't pick them up. You couldn't pick them up because the cross was great, and this, you've got a striker, but if the midfielder's not gone with that midfielder, it's like mayhem, and it's just totally died. And I think there's a lot of goals to be had in it, to be honest.
Yeah, because it's still somewhat present in Sunday League, and it's still effective in Sunday League. I know it's a very different level, but the fact is, if it still works here, why? I just don't understand how it's completely died off in the professional game. Like, in terms of top level professional anyway, because you still see some of the lower Premier League sides, and if you watch Championship football, you'll see it. It appears there. There doesn't seem to be any. Because the best winger in the world is now a striker in Cristiano Ronaldo. You'll see he's the best winger that there's ever been. It won't ever been, because that's what I argue with, a few others. But in terms of the last few years, the best winger is now a striker. Mm-hmm. So basically, I reckon if Cristiano Ronaldo was still playing as a winger, more people would still be playing wingers, just because he's so effective as a winger. But would there be no focal winger to try and emulate? There's no teams don't. It seems to have forgotten that wingers even existed.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a very good point. We should have called this show "Where Have All the Wingers Gone?" And I hope it comes back. I mean, if anyone wants to watch wing play football, I know I've plugged it a few times. Mark Goldbridge's channel after this. Watch my latest FIFA career video, because I use wingers and I use the width. I think Manchester United desperately need to go back to doing it, but the problem is who you sign. I mean, somebody mentioned Kingsley Coman. I think he's at Bayern Munich now. But yeah, I mean, that's why I like Martial on the wing, because I think he will be a striker at some point, but he's a good winger. But also, I think the reason Ronaldo moved inside is because he is the world's best player, and if he just stayed on the left wing, he wouldn't have half the goals he's got. So I can see why he's done it, but I'd love to get some traditional wingers back. I mean, Ryan Giggs was a winger. I mean, he moved in the middle towards the end of his career because he lost his pace, but he was a traditional winger, and I'd love to get that back. But I'm not aware of anybody coming through. I mean, most people coming through the youth are, you're talking about your Gomez and people like that. They could be wingers, but they're playing as number 10s and centrally and stuff like that, because that's what everybody does now. I mean, I was talking about Bernardo Silva the other week. He can play number 10, he can play on the wing, but it's all about numbers. It's like Mkhitaryan, he can play on the wing, but number 10, everybody's doing it.
Yeah, because when we brought in Mkhitaryan, I was thinking he's a 10, but if we play Mata at 10, we could play him. He played relatively quite often on the ring, because I think we had Royce in the centre, and then you had Mkhitaryan out to one side, and I think they had this Pulisic, the guy that was mentioned earlier, on the other side, and then I don't know who the striker, and then they have
Aubameyang
at the time up front. I just don't understand why we're turning all our wingers into 10s, because it means the sides just become, I wouldn't say one-dimensional, but you just end up with the same, with everyone playing a very similar type of football, which there's almost no point of having corner flags at this point.
That's it. I agree with you. I totally do. The first time calling in, Robert?
Yeah.
Where are you calling from?
From Edinburgh.
Edinburgh, okay. Thanks for calling, and please do call in again.
Yep. Yep.
Cheers. Thanks, Robert. Okay, we've been going on for an hour, so I'm going to wrap it up there. I know a lot of people were trying to get on. We'll be back on Monday with Skype Goldbridge. If you want us to carry on doing them on a Monday and Thursday, that's not a problem. This is what the channel's all about. More than happy to sort of throw it over to yourselves. Obviously, I really enjoy doing it. So make sure you drop a like on the video if you enjoy the Skype show, and support everybody who's called in. I've really enjoyed that. Some really topics that I don't set the topics, and I don't think anybody does, and we went into an area which, especially about wingers, I think it's brilliant. I think we really should sort of start an army vocalising that, because I think it's really important. United really miss it, and definitely miss it. We're close to 87,600. In fact, we're 3 off subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, please click the subscribe button. I must almost add as well, on my channel today, I started my live stream at about 5 o'clock for the FIFA thing. And for the first 5 minutes, there was 2 people watching. That's not right. If you subscribe to a channel, you're meant to get notifications. So if you are subscribed to this channel, there's a bell. Make sure you've clicked that bell and make sure you've ticked get all notifications, because if you haven't, they're not sending notifications out on YouTube. They've changed the algorithm or something, so that'd be great. If you can see the eye in the top right hand corner, please do click the eye and cast your vote if you're over 18, if you're interested in that, because we just want to sort of gauge the numbers as to who would be. And apart from that, fantastic, really enjoyed it. Obviously, I'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. with the Transfer Daily. Already know a couple of things I'm going to put in that, but we'll see what happens in the next few hours as well. So that's 7 a.m. Thanks for everybody who's supporting that. We are going to keep it now every day through to the end of August, which is great. And then tomorrow night at 8:30, it's the preview for the Palace game, which is going to really test me when I have to do my infographic of who's going to be playing, because I might draw them out of a hat. It could be anybody, but that'll be interesting as well. And we'll be another day closer to this Europa League final. I'm starting to feel quite nervous about it. So thanks everyone for watching. Really enjoyed it. And I will speak to you all tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. You've been fantastic, both callers and on the live comments. Really enjoyed it. And I must just say that I've just remembered I missed a comment, a super chat comment, which I need to read out. Hopefully some of you will wait for me, because it was a very good point. And I did mean to say it. And I nearly missed it. I know it was Ferris Oda who said it. And he said, why not sign 2-footed players then? Simple. And I think he's talking about wingers. In fact, I'm sure he has. All professional footballers should be 2-footed. Many of them aren't. If you're 2-footed, you can whip across in with either foot. You're right. So, yeah. I don't know why we don't do that. But, yeah. I'm old school on that. I think everybody should be 2-footed. I'm 2-footed and I'm not a professional footballer, because I was made to go and work on my weak foot. And when we used to train, I used to have to, because I was right-footed, I used to have to wear my trainer on my left foot and run around in my sock on my right to make me use my left foot. And I'm very 2-footed. All professional footballers should be. Thanks everyone for watching. Apparently Spurs won 4-1. I didn't even know there was a Premier League game tonight. But thanks everyone for watching. Back tomorrow. Just keep getting involved and enjoying the channel. I'm glad that you all are. Thanks for watching.